Okay, so from this point forward, I'm recording everything, so you'll be able to go back and watch. Let me lock myself. All right, so that we're not getting we're not bouncing back and forth. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some uses for Google Hangouts, whether you do face-to-face, hybrid, or online, and we're going to talk about I'll give you some how-to on how to use it. It's really straightforward. So you know what? It's almost, I got 7 minutes after 3. So why don't we let me put the presentation up on the screen, and we'll get started. I just have to let me share screen 1. And okay, you know what? Let's change that so we don't see my next slide. Let's see. 1 second. Let's change this, and I want to share that. I don't like that either. Okay. Let's see. Present to everyone. Okay, so we'll put it on the screen. We'll do it over here. Presenting screen 2 in its entirety. That's what I want. Okay. Okay. So, like I said, we're gonna cover Google Hangouts in the distance learning classroom. Let me just lock my screen so we're not hopping back and forth. To everyone. Hey, what's going on here? There we go. Okay. Okay, so I emailed slides of a PDF of the slides to Rob and Nicole and Dana. Certainly, if you want a copy, you get it from me or get it from one of them. And I've also got the QR code if you want to take a picture if you have a mobile device with a QR reader. That's a PDF of today's slides. And I've also got a link up there to my YouTube channel. We're streaming this right now over the YouTube channel. You could also go back to it and watch it at any time. You know, if you missed something or you want to go back, especially when I do like the step-by-step for creating the Hangout, you can go back and watch it as many times as you want. As soon as we're done, within about 5 to 10 minutes of us finishing, the stream will be up and available on YouTube for you to watch. Right. Just the only thing that I ask is, especially those of you that are in remote locations, if you are not speaking, just mute your audio, which is the second icon from the left of that toolbar. That'll show up at the top of your Hangout. And then certainly if you want to speak, just unmute that, but it's easier for background noises. But I got us locked in on my screen as well. So if there's any issues. And if you're using a mobile device, same thing, you can mute your audio, turn off your video in the same way with the buttons that'll appear on the bottom of the screen. Okay. So I've been doing this since 2005. I've done blended online face-to-face in a bunch of different areas, undergraduate and graduate. And also during the day, I work at Bergen Catholic High School. That's where I am right now. And I work with our kids that take online classes through Virtual High School and through EduSeer. And we've got approximately about 25 or so that are engaged in one of those type of classes. So it's a good experience. For me, I've been doing it a while, and it to me, it's always enjoyable because it's, ordinarily to do something like this, I'd have to come down to Jersey City, and I'm doing exactly the same thing I would be doing in Jersey City, and I'm sitting at my desk in Oradell, New Jersey. So why do it? Certainly, I think as a professor in the School of Education, I want to prepare teachers to be 21st century ready. And the only way I think the right way to do that is to expose them to new stuff. And they certainly, with me, they get that. They get the opportunity to engage in a course where they're participating from a remote location. So we do it for that reason. Also, this is a great way to provide synchronous discussion for those topics that require it. Some of the stuff that I do, I know in Ed Psych, I do, we talk about classroom management, and that's an ideal topic to talk about in a synchronous manner. It's not something that, lends itself to doing on a discussion board or, or submitting an assignment. I like to actually have a real-time discussion. And it shows them too that you can learn anytime, anywhere. I think the biggest kick that a lot of people get is when how many times their own children join the class, and they see like, wow, mommy and daddy are learning and going back to school, and they're doing it on the computer, and they kind of see this and they're fascinated by it. I know my own children are, so I think it's cool for a lot of reasons, but especially, you can do anytime, anywhere learning. Now, with that being said, the picture that's up here, that's real. She was in Prague. She's one of my students from last year. She was visiting her sister on it was in the fall, and she stayed up. It was like 3:30 in the morning when she took that picture. I think she fell asleep during the hangout, but she really was in Prague for that picture. So I've had people all over the place. I've had students in Boston, in Pennsylvania, students at the Republican National Convention, and no one misses a beat, let alone soccer games and all their different places, people in the car. So it does prove anytime, anywhere learning. Now, aside from those that are on the Jersey City campus, Lorraine, where are you right now? Unmute yourself. There you go.
I'm currently doing 2 online classes. Previously, I was at the Englewood Cliffs campus.
Okay, so where are you physically right now? Are you at Jersey City?
I'm sitting in my home in my little office space.
See? Perfect. Otherwise, you'd have to be in Jersey City,
Otherwise, I would be in Jersey City fighting the traffic to get there. I live
Exactly.
in New Jersey, and parking who knows where.
Exactly. Okay. So how can you use this stuff? Certainly, from a class standpoint, you can deliver content. You could do exactly what I'm doing now. You could, if you're something you needed to teach direct instruction, you can do something like that. You could do presentations. Have your students do presentations. I'm going to show you some samples in a second. But your students could do the same exact thing. You could gather as a class, and they could either pre-record themselves, or they could do it live. You could do virtual office hours. I'm going to be available for the next 2 hours, and I'm just going to sit here and on the computer. And if somebody needs me for something, then I can have a face-to-face discussion. Guest speakers from anywhere, it lends itself to that. Webcasts, like the recordings, and interviews, whether that's interviewing for a job, doing mock interviews like with teachers, anything like that. There's also any of the stuff that I haven't thought about either. So in a Google Hangout, there's 2 ways to participate. Because we're a GAFE school, St. Peter's is a GAFE school, you can get 15 maximum participants in the Google Hangout. That's 14 plus you as the instructor. So what I generally have the non-participating students do is they'll watch the stream that's on YouTube. So right now, what I'm saying now, if you were watching the stream on YouTube, you'd see it anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute later. And then those you actually put in a comment tracker, so those students could add comments through a bunch of different ways. I'll talk about that later. So they're still able to interact. It's just like a regular classroom. There are people that are going to raise their hand to participate, but if they're not, they know they're not going to, or they're in a position or in a place where they can't, then they can watch a stream that's on YouTube. How I grade it, I don't force attendance, because I always get some sob stories about why I can't get on right away and this and that. So I record who's there, and it goes in as a completed grade. It's a 1 point that I don't track in their average, but it just shows up in their my grades to show that, yeah, I recognize that you were a part of the you were part of the class. So one of the things that, an example of what I might do when I teach principles and problem school administration, I have this great assignment called Who Gets Hired. And when I do the class face-to-face, it's a whole class, because everybody gets all riled up and excited about, it's August 26th. You've got to choose 7 out of 15 teacher candidates for open positions. So before class, they'll prepare notes on each of their their picks, and they'll vote on it. I give them a Google form, and they vote on it. These are the results from the summer class. So now we go through each person, and I'll say, Martha, what do we like about Martha? And she was a split because 5 people liked her, 5 people didn't. And we go through each one. Why did no one like Robert? And they really make their pitches for why these people should be hired. But it's great because it's a synchronous discussion. Could I do this in a discussion board? Absolutely. But it really lends itself to doing in this kind of format. So it's really, and the students they get excited. I start them we do it at 9 o'clock at night, generally a Wednesday or Thursday night. And this particular one, it was like 10:30. I'm like, folks, all right, I think we've covered everybody. They just didn't want to. They didn't want to stop, which was really cool. It's like I said, it's certain topics just lend themselves to this type of discussion. And plus, the students not everybody was home in their own home. Although I've had times where I've had a student fall asleep because they're sitting there, all of a sudden you see the iPad, it's up pointing at the ceiling, and I'm the last one to close the Hangout, and it's still there, so, but that's okay, because you might do that in class. So all of what I do gets recorded on my on the YouTube channel, and I've got a couple of samples that you can go through and view at your convenience. The link is on the second slide to my YouTube channel. But I've got samples of an actual Google Hangout from a class, the meet and greet that I do for the start of my web classes. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Virtual class presentations. So I've got a bunch that are on there. And plus you could watch the last 2 that I did. The one on preparing to teach online in the fall, and then last spring's Blackboard rubrics stream is up there as well. Because with your St. Peter's account, you have the YouTube tied to it. So this is just for my St. Peter's stuff. And it works very well because everything's nice and it's clean. It's easy to find. So this one is an actual class. I know I can't push the sound through unless everybody has the YouTube app installed through Google Hangouts. So that'll be something for next time. But this is just that clip is on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. It's an actual class, and that's what the Hangout looks like. Just like exactly what you're experiencing now. So that's like a 2-minute clip of an actual discussion. It was on classroom management. This one is the meet and greet. What I do when I teach the fully online class is the first week of class, we do a meet and greet. We do a Google Hangout, and it's just that. It's hey, I'm Al. I'm a real person. I am not a machine. And this is who I am. This is what I do for a living. And like I'm pretty sure my kids photobombed the one in the fall. So they thought it was the greatest thing in the world. So it gives me an opportunity to meet all the students, and they can say, hi, my name is, and here's where I'm from, and all that, and they can ask me questions and whatnot. So they like it. And I found that's pretty good. It also gives an opportunity to test, how the Google Hangout works. So when they do the second time when we do that synchronous discussion on whatever topic it is, they know how to get on, how to click the link, how to listen in, use their headphones, all that kind of thing. So when I teach the class as a hybrid, the first night we always do practice. Now this is a stage picture. I needed for a conference, and they were very good sports about it. But this is what I would do on the first night. Get out your laptops, get out your headphones. Let's make sure we can get on so they can experience it. Because most people have never done this before, and they're kind of a little timid when they start about, oh, gee, is this, what am I doing? So they're practiced, and I think that's really, however you deliver your class, whether it's, if you're doing face-to-face, you're going to do this once, you're going to do it online a couple of times, you need to give them an opportunity to practice. So that's really important. One of the things I had mentioned was a virtual presentation, and this is what it would look like. When I do the hybrid, I had they have to, the 502 class, you have to do a presentation on a learning disability of your choice. And I let them choose if they want to present virtually. So if you present virtually, you don't have to come to Jersey City. So I think I had maybe half the class volunteer to do it this way. And from wherever they were, they just shared their screen, they shared their PowerPoint, exactly what I'm doing now. They went through and, they went through and, turn that down. They went through and did their presentation. They narrated the whole 9 yards, and it was just like they would be in the classroom. And I have a sample of that. It's a 10-second clip, but that one is also up on my YouTube channel as well. So that's kind of from a use standpoint, and trust me, the sky's the limit. I want to talk about some of the technical stuff and how you go through and preparing to do this. Don't think that this is don't get overwhelmed. This is a lot. Half of this stuff is one-time steps to get yourself prepared, setting up your account and whatnot. And once you get there, you're in good shape. So preparing to use Google Hangouts, pretty much any computer is fine. Any browser is fine. I'm using Chrome now because it's a Google product, just works well. You need to have some type of webcam and some type of microphone. At minimum, your built-in webcam that's on your laptop, or and your Apple earbuds, or basic your cell phone headphones are fine. You don't need anything that's really expensive. And you need to be on you have to have some type of broadband. It's not something you could do over dial-up, or not something you might want to do in Starbucks when there's 50 people competing for the same wireless. So you want to make sure you have a good strong wireless connection, or a good internet connection wherever you are. The headphones that are in the picture, I'm actually using them now. They're $35 Logitechs. They're USB, and they're not bad. You don't need to go out and get Beats or anything like that. You could use like I said, your Apple earbuds, just something to eliminate background noise. Because I find that the sound is a lot clearer. You can hear people a lot better, because the microphone right now is maybe 6 inches from my mouth, as opposed to if I was speaking into my webcam or into the computer. It would be a little different. So most people are good about this, and they'll plug in. Although I get some that don't, and then you get the echo and whatnot. Then I kind of have to mute them, so it becomes a little bit of a hassle. So, regardless of what browser you use, there's a plugin for Hangouts, which generally, when you're using Hangouts for the first time, if you're ever asked anything to do with Hangouts, should I install, or should I do? It's always whatever's in the affirmative. That's fine. I trust, yes. Something like that. I do remind my students that it's important that remember that if you are using cellular data, whether on an iPad, a tablet, or on a cell phone, that you're going to suck up a lot of data. So you have to be careful. An hour's worth of streaming video is going to be a lot of data. Battery life. My MacBook will drain in an hour if I'm using the camera steady. If I do a Google Hangout for an hour, I'll go from 100 to about 3% in an hour. So make sure power. It's just, you don't want to get to halfway through and all of a sudden I see people dropping because they run out of battery. Right, just something to keep in mind. Something to remind your students. There's mobile options available both in the Android, Google Play, and on the App Store. Preparing your St. Peter's account. Some of this stuff is one time. I generally will add a profile picture to my Google Plus, which is tied to my St. Peter's account, just so people know who I am. Okay. So, and also if I turn off my camera and I'm not broadcasting, you at least see my account would show up on the bottom, because right now I'm using my student account, and you'll see that I'm signed in twice. You'll probably see Albert twice. One of them should have my picture and the other one is blank. So it helps when if you go dark, if you will, and you turn off your camera, at least I know who you are. Okay. And that's really easy to do. You just change your picture. Doesn't matter what you do. It's just, that's my yearbook headshot. Nothing fancy. To prepare YouTube, it's straightforward. Sign in your St. Peter's email account. You're going to verify your YouTube channel. In my case, when I went on, I was already verified. But if it's not, it's very simple. It's a two-step process. You just select your country, and you need to verify with either a text, or it can call you with a recorded message. If you do a text, I send it to my cell phone, put in your 6-digit code, and boom, you're done. You get the nice little congratulations, and that's it. It takes you maybe 30 seconds. You only have to do this once. You don't have to do it again. University took great strides when they put the students and the faculty on the same domain for Google, because previously it was the students were a sub-organization, and that led to it was a little bit difficult for me to do this, but everybody on the same domain now, it's a piece of cake. So use your St. Peter's account, you tie in your YouTube, you do it once, you're done. The next thing, and I only started doing this in the last couple of weeks, set up your YouTube channel. I put my live streams and my live upcoming streams right on my homepage. So if you went on to my YouTube channel and you were only going to watch the stream and not participate, you could go right to the stream and see it. And like I said, we're about we're a minute ahead of YouTube. So what I'm saying now, in a minute, if you were watching the stream, you would see it on YouTube. Depends. It could be faster, could be slower, but generally it's about, give or take, 45 seconds to a minute. And this is simple. So on my channel in YouTube, you can add whatever sections you want, and I recommend the live now and whatever is upcoming in case you schedule a stream for an upcoming a point in the future. You have to connect your YouTube channel to your Google Plus profile, which again, you do it once, no big deal. And some of you'll see there's some Bergen Catholic stuff in here. I needed to get screenshots of the pre-connection, so I had to use my some of the Bergen Catholic domain to do that. But that's simple. Go into your settings on YouTube, and then you're going to connect with your Google Plus page. So this way you can post stuff. You can post some of the streams to your Google Plus page. Again, this is all one-time stuff. You do it once, and it's a one and done. And then lastly, confirm your name on YouTube. If you have more than 100 subscribers, you can actually do a custom address on YouTube. But you also need to confirm your account name. Again, confirm it. It's a one-time. So everything up to this point has been one time. You do it once you're done, and please go back through and play these steps to your heart's content. If you didn't catch it the first time, just keep replaying it over and over until you get it right, and you're good to go. Moving forward, the next bunch of slides are the actual steps that I take to create the Google Hangout. And again, let me say this. The first time I did it was a nightmare. I was trying to do it, and I tested it, but I wasn't totally comfortable with it. And the students were great because, I was on the phone with one of them. Did you get this? Did you see this? And it just takes some time, takes some practice. And it takes you as the instructor, you have to be willing to make mistakes, and I think every time I do this, I learn something new. Now, for example, and I'm going to show you this once I'm done with the slides, but I'm running a second laptop as a second participant, so I can see. I want to be sure what I have on the screen is what you're seeing, and I know that because I'm watching this on a second computer. It's the first time I've done that because a lot of times, people say, "Oh, yeah, I could see what's on your screen," but it's not exactly what I want them to see, or what I don't anticipate. So now I can see the bar on the bottom. I can see all the participants. And what slide I'm on, but I can't see that on the screen that I'm sharing. So I've got two computers, and I'll just show you. I'll move the camera when I'm done to show you that setup. So first thing we do in YouTube, we go to live streaming events. That's in Creator Studio. On the top right is where your account is. You open Creator Studio, and then you're going to click on events, and you're going to create a new live event. You can either schedule one for a point in the future, or you could start one live. Now, this one I started live around noon, and I was back and forth with a couple of people. I just left it open, but I could schedule it, for a time in the future. After that, I'm going to select a Google Hangout on air. I'm doing a quick stream. I'm going to give it a title and tag it. I think it's optional, but if you're searching for me on YouTube, you've got a better shot. If this was one of my classes, I tag it with GE502, SPU, St. Peter's, and my name. Hopefully, if you're typing all that stuff, you've got a halfway decent shot of actually getting to me if you didn't know the address of my YouTube page. Once all that's done, you get a setup that says, "Hey, you're ready to go." So now we're actually it's going to create the Google Hangout on air, which looks like that. That was my mugshot from when I got out of Jersey City Penn. And I tried about 10 times to get the picture just right, by the way. Now we have this where we actually have an established Google Hangout, and you'll see that you see you on the bottom right. That's you as the creator of the Hangout. If you click on the icon on the left, the invite others, what I do is I make a comma separated value file of everybody's email address. So if I knew in advance you were coming today, I put all your emails in a CSV file. I separate it by a comma. So when I get to here, all I have to do is copy and paste. I copy and paste them in. I don't require you to be over 18. And then I hit invite. So you'll get an invite that the Hangout's going to start or has started. What I then do, after I send out the invite, I have the Hangout open. That address that's on the top, I copy and paste this, and I push it through Blackboard, through announcements on Blackboard. So I email it to all of my students. And for some reason you didn't get the invite, you click on this link. This will bring you to the same place. So if you want to be involved, there's very little excuse why you can't be, because I've sent you an invite. And I've also sent you the link. So sometimes I've had students, oh, I didn't get the invite, or I didn't know where to go for it, or I missed it. But then they can just click on the link, and it's on Blackboard on the announcements page on the home page, and it's also emailed to them. So I'm bombarding them with ways to get on. So once I'm confident that I've got most people, I click Start Broadcast, and what that'll do is that'll take the stream live to YouTube. And so your Hangout will now be broadcast on YouTube. You can go for 8 hours. So we could do this until 11 o'clock tonight. If those of you that are interested, we could talk Google, and it'll record this. I don't have to worry about having space on my computer anywhere. I'm streaming out to YouTube. It's recording, and I can play all that back for anybody to see. Right. So once I say okay to that, it's going to prepare itself, and now I'm online. If I went to my Hangout page, or excuse me, my YouTube channel, you would see that you'd see the stream. It's live now, and you click on that, you could actually watch what's going on. Actually, you would pick it up with about a minute delay. So now I'm streaming, and now I'm on. So in those, this is step 6. Those first 5 steps. That's all you have to do, and it doesn't take longer than a minute or two to establish the actual Hangout. Right? I know that I'm live on YouTube because I'm pointing to it. See that little live button in the upper right-hand corner? You know that we're live. That means we're streaming on YouTube. And on the bottom, it says Stop Broadcast. I can also see on the bottom right if there's anybody viewing the presentation, if there's anybody watching the stream on YouTube, and well, this one didn't have any viewers. I don't think we have any right now, but you'd see that on the bottom. And then, as I said, as your participants enter, you'll see them all across the bottom, and you have an idea of who's doing what. Okay, so now you've gone for your full 8 hours. You've talked about whatever topic it is you want to ad nauseum, and when you're done, stop broadcast. And once you stop the broadcast, it's going to tell you, okay, it's gonna compile itself and go to your YouTube channel. And it could be a couple of minutes. It's generally no more than 10 minutes, and then it's done. It's there. So someone could go back and watch it live. And I've had students who have said, listen, I can't make it, but I went through and I watched the class, and I know that because they've said, oh, you said this, and I didn't, I had a question about this, or someone said this, and I thought this was interesting. So, and they can watch that on their iPhone, on their iPad, on any device they want to, and at their leisure. They could watch it when they're running on the treadmill. I actually had a student this semester who was at the gym during my class. Although some of the responses to questions were, hold on, but still, why not? You're at the gym. There's nothing that says you can't be. So, so now, and I see Rob's been playing with them. There's some tools that you can use that are actually pretty cool inside of the Google Hangout. There's a group chat, which there are sometimes people just for whatever reason don't want to talk. So, or in Jay's case, I kind of heard him, but I didn't really, but I couldn't see him, so I could still communicate in this way. And this is just a play-by-play of if anybody wants to chat rather than talk for whatever reason. Maybe they're in a spot. I've had students, and this sounds bad, but I've had students that are in other classes watching my class, and they have their webcam on, but they're silent because I can hear someone else talking in the background, but they're typing away. And I won't, since we're live for the whole world to see, I won't say whose classes they were in. So the screen share is what I'm doing now. You can share your screen or any part of your screen. So when you go to screen share, which is the second icon, it's the green screen with a white arrow. You can choose what screen. Now, I have 2 monitors in my office. I am streaming the second screen that just has the presentation on it. The first screen has my keynote view, so I've got what screen is live and what's the next one. So that's what I have streaming, is just my second monitor. So you choose what you want to share, and then once you choose that, you'll see inside the window that I'm screen sharing this and I'm presenting it to everyone. So regardless of if you all make noise, it's still going to be my screen. That's the main one. You notice that you haven't seen me at all because all you see is my screen right now. My camera's not even on. Okay, so I'm streaming. I'm streaming live. I can turn it off whenever I want. But if I want to show, oh, by the way, this is how you post something to Blackboard, I could then show you. I could demonstrate that live on the screen. Next time, if you all have the YouTube app, if you put the YouTube app inside of Google Hangouts, I can play a YouTube app and you can all see it and hear it inside of the app. I caught that one a little bit too late for this time around. So that's screen share. Cameraman. I can decide who I want to let in. By default, when you join the room, I could hide you when you first joined, and I could announce you, if you will. So, if you have like a mystery guest, I know the first time, or one of the times I did this, Nicole Luongo joined in, and all my classes there, and they're talking there, like, and all of a sudden one of the girls like, "Oh my God, is that Dr. Luongo?" Because she just kind of popped up on the bottom. And you never know. Dana was on the last one I did with my class. You just never know who's going to show up in one of my Google Hangouts. But I can introduce you as like you're the big star with the cameraman tool. The control room is really helpful. Okay, I can mute you. I can eject you. I can turn off your camera. I've had to do this once, and I had to do this because someone. I don't know if she realized that she was still on, but I think she was talking with someone in her family, and it got a little heated, and some swearing started happening, and everyone just kind of stopped and was just looking at looking at their webcams, going, okay. So I went in, I muted her audio, I left the camera alone, I just said, okay, well, and then eventually she realized, oh, like, did you all hear that? I'm like, yeah, I was gonna make a big deal about it, but I knew I had the control room. I could just turn her off. And the next thing would have been if she turned it back on and continued, I just would have threw her out, which I could just eject you from the Hangout. So again, once in 3 years is not bad, but you just have to be careful. You never know, because you don't really, you stop and think, wait, am I, you don't see yourself on the screen, so maybe I'm really not live, and you have to stop and think, yeah, what I'm doing is being seen and heard by other people. The Hangout toolbox. The lower third is nice. So, I put this up generally when I start, just so people know that that's me. If you've never seen me before, that's me. You can tell I didn't do this today because I'm wearing a different shirt. The comment tracker is pretty cool because you can use either your event's Google Plus page, YouTube, or Twitter to track comments. You set up a source of comments. So if I post something, if someone posts to Twitter and maybe they hashtag me, it'll show up at exactly when they do it on the timeline, which is really cool. I haven't played a lot with this yet, but if I get classes that are big and I can't put everybody on the Hangout, then I'll use the comment tracker. And then Google Effects, which is just, I don't know if there's really any good use for it aside that you could put an eye patch or a crown or whatever on you, like Rob's got the Dr. Seuss hat on now. It's nothing more than silly, but it's there. So it is what it is. By this point, I was slide happy, and I see why not. I've always wanted to be a pirate, and I miss National Talk Like a Pirate Day. So I figured, why not? Let me throw it on. So then the last part of this is watch it anytime you want. My faculty, the workshop I did a couple weeks ago, it's on. You could watch it. It's great because you could watch it. You don't have to be on your desktop. You could be on your mobile device or wherever you want. And now I've got a repository of classes that I've done. So people can go back and watch. And they like it because I couldn't. Professor, hey, I was in another class, or I really couldn't. I couldn't go on the virtual class, but I watched the rerun, and I watched every minute of it, and it was really, and here's what I thought. And I think that lends itself to the anytime, anywhere learning. So it's not difficult, not by any means. So let me put myself back on camera because I want to show you how I have this set up. So let me stop presenting and stop screen sharing. And now there I am again. Let me take off the lower third. Let's turn that off because you know who I am by now. So let me indulge me for a second while I pull my camera. What I did, I'm doing this backwards. I've got two monitors. So this monitor was where I was presenting from. This is where I had this was my source. But then over on the side here, I've got a laptop that's also connected to that one. It's also connected to the Hangout, so I could see what was on the screen. So if I, there's been times where I thought I was presenting, I was presenting my full screen, but I had the presenter view, or I was stuck somewhere, and, I could also see on the bottom, I, I could change that view to see the entire audience, because maybe they're all, they're fast asleep and I'm talking away like there's no tomorrow. So, that setup, this is new for me, but it's something I'm going to do in the future, because again, it keeps, I know exactly if my slides get hung up or anything like that, I know exactly where I am. So, something new. So that's all I got. Please pepper me with questions. Anybody that, something you want more information about, just don't forget to unmute yourself as you, before you ask.
Professor Spiegel, there's also the chat box, which is pretty helpful. I mean, I know that, for example, WebEx and Cisco, Citrix, they usually have a, what's it called again, like a raise your hand kind of thing. There isn't really that sort of thing in Google Hangouts, as far as I know, but there is group chat. And if somebody types into group chat, then you see their text right on the screen.
Yeah, on the, let me go back here for a second. Let me just share my entire screen, because you should be able to see this. On the, it looks a little pixelated, but on the right side here where you have group chat, you can, there are some times where, as long as you have group chat open, it's the top icon, it's the blue with the white lines on it. You could see anybody who types in a chat at whatever time. So if I just type example, so, if you're following along, like I said, I've had students that will be someplace where they can be watching me, they can be on camera, but they can't speak. So they'll use the group chat, and it's just something you have to keep an eye on. And for me, I couldn't see that when I'm showing my full screen. I didn't have an eye on that. So again, that's what I would use the computer on the side for, is to just keep an eye on the group chat.
Anybody have any questions?
Questions for anybody?
I actually have one more question.
Go ahead.
So basically, the difference between just a regular Google Hangout and Google Hangouts on Air is that it's broadcasted live. Can we see the Google live stream, like right now, just to see what it looks like?
Yeah, you won't be able to hear it, but let me, let's do it this way. Let's go here, and let's present to everyone. And we're going to go, we bring this over here. It's my YouTube channel, and it's a little, let's go here. So right now, you'll see on the bottom, live now, right? So this is what's going on right now. So if I click on this, okay, I'm pretty sure you can't hear the audio, right?
No, we can't hear the audio.
Okay, yeah, but you can see this is what.
So if we actually had the link to that, and we were sitting in a computer.
Okay, let me stop this a minute, just so I don't hear the echo back and forth. But yeah, so it wasn't that far in the past. But you just go right on the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see, live now, and you would just jump right in, and you could watch it there. So it's, you can watch it with an app, doesn't matter what you watch it with. But when you put that live section or live stream on your YouTube channel, you'll be able to see, it's a good spot for us. You don't have to go hunting. You go right to my YouTube channel, and as soon as you open it, you could also make that the featured content. So it's, it's right there on the top.
So also on Blackboard, what you can do is you can take, when you're doing this, when you start it live, at the lower right-hand corner, there's going to be a link that you can give directly to people so they can see the live stream. And take that and put it in your Blackboard so that people that aren't in the chat or haven't joined in the chat can watch the whole thing live on a 60-second delay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's, you can put the, either making a mashup. I generally try and make it as easy as possible for those that aren't going, even if you're going to be involved, how easy is it for you to get on. You know, I don't want it to be 20 different steps, because students will get frustrated. Oh, I couldn't get on, and they're not going to do it. But at least if it's, you know, click on my YouTube channel, click on this link, you know, and you'll be able to see the stream. Or, you know, I'll make a QR code out of my out of the address, you know, so as easy as possible. If you're going to watch on your iPad, you know, click this, you know, or point your camera here, and you'll be able to get on. So I try to make it as easy as possible. Anybody else with questions?
Al, do you know if have you looked into Duo? Have you heard that they're looking to like sunset Hangouts eventually and replace it with Duo? And I don't know. I'm not sure a whole lot about that. I don't know if you've looked into that or not.
I haven't seen it. I'm waiting for, and I know the university's been looking at Zoom. I'm looking for something that I can get past 15 people with. You know, I haven't seen Duo. I want exactly this with more than 15 people. That's what I want.
Have you heard anything about Google working towards? I haven't, so that's why I'm asking you. Have you had?
No, I haven't. But I mean, I went to do, I was prepping, when I prepped the class, I did all the orientation stuff for my fall class. It was late July, August, and I didn't see the thing about Hangouts on air. And then all of a sudden I did a Hangout on air, and then all of a sudden it's, by the way, now it's YouTube live. So it was different. So they generally, you know, it's not like you can, you know, oh, Google, please leave it on for one more week. They said September 12th, that's it. There's no more Hangouts on air. Although that's exactly what I'm doing now. They just changed the title. But no, I haven't heard anything newer, but I would just love something I can put more people in, because this is exactly what I need to do. I just want to give everybody a chance to participate. And even if they don't, at least they can hit the mute button. But I'd like everybody to see it live like this. So that's the one part of all this that I know is missing, is the ability to, what do I do with students 15 through 20 that want to be in the Hangout, or, you know, that I can't get everybody in. And that I struggle with that from the get-go, because I haven't found anything that I can do this type of interaction with and get more than, you know, 10 or 15 viewers on. So without paying an arm and a leg.
We're still working on acquiring the funding for Zoom, which should allow 25 videos and up to 50 if they aren't broadcasting videos.
Yeah, that's perfect, because that in a web class where we cap at 20, you know, that's perfect. That's what I need. But that's only been the real drawback. And I wrestle with that, and I wrestle with that with the students. I talk, you know, almost every semester. All right, so how do I do this so that I can be inclusive of everybody? You know, and some of them will, you know, I can't say, okay, well, you're not going to be allowed, you know. So that's why I don't mandate, you know, they participate. A lot of them do, and I know some of them will watch the stream. So I kind of make it as open-ended as I can, but you know, generally most people will participate, and the ones that can't will tell me this is why I can't. So I'm not even going to bother signing up for one of the spots on the bottom here. They'll just watch the stream, or they'll watch it at a later date.
Dr. Blue, we had a class of 18 people, and we successfully pulled off Google Hangout. How did we do it?
Well, actually, we had 18 students that were enrolled, but then there were a few students who didn't, so we were down to 16.
But we still had,
So we did. So what we did is we had 2 of the students come into my office. So this way we were able to be successful with that.
Yeah, sometimes you get lucky enough where in a situation like this, I've got 1, 2, 3, I count 5 people around the table that are with, you know, 1 participant, you know, which makes life much easier. There's been times where I've had people that have shared, oh, hey, you know, 3 or 4 of us work in the same school, so we'll all get together in one spot, which helps. But, you know, in a situation where I've got those, you know, that bigger class, that's what frustrates me the most, is I don't have something that I can do this type of interaction with everybody. So that's my one deficiency, and I know it's a deficiency. That's what I want to work on.
It sounds like from the beginning of the Hangout, since you invited people, you've got some security control. Once you put it out on your YouTube channel, and what abilities do you have to limit who can access what's in your YouTube channel?
Well, I can make it either public for everybody to see. Let me just tell you the exact settings. I can. Where is it? It's public. I could. Oh, here we go. I can make it public, unlisted, or private. So if it's unlisted, I could give everybody, it won't show up. I give you the link though. Or if it's private, I can make it available to certain people. So I could, again, using your St. Peter's email, I can make it accessible just to certain people. And there's been times I've done that when my own, whenever I get children that photobomb anybody's kids, I generally try to, take it off public. Not that, I mean, the orientation video I've done, I think has 80 views. So it's not like I've gone viral, like with, 10 million. Be nice. But, most of these classes I get maybe 20 or 30 views. So, but even still, like, if your kids jump on, and I tell people when I start, hey, I'm recording this, it's going on YouTube. And then I'll limit it, or I'll say, okay, here's the link, but you have to sign in with your St. Peter's email before you can see it. So it's, and there are times if we've had like hotbedded, discussions, if discussions get a little, I don't want to say out of control, but sometimes they get a little heated depending on what we're talking about. I'll say, all right, you know what, I'm going to make this one restricted just for the people in the class. But something like this, there's been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't put it out there. And like I said, again, it's not like there's, people are breaking the bank looking for it, but there's possibilities that I can lock out people if I need to. And I've done it before.
When students actually log in for the first time, when they're going into an on-air session, they're actually notified that this is on air. This will be live broadcasting. They have to click the accept button before they can get in.
Right, no different than like some of the Cisco and other things. But I'm just thinking when the same class is taught multiple terms, that the materials from a previous term could be available to the current students, so that they already have gotten other insights, no different than what we're talking about from a plagiarism or something. If I make my paper available, it's discoverable, maybe even something from what went on in the synchronous perspective. You don't want the next class to be able to tap into it. Sure.
And if that's the case, then, then I just make it private, but nothing that I do, and I think it's part of the way how I design it is like if we do it, in this format that I'm giving away the keys to the kingdom, like you could watch this. You could watch my class when we do the classroom management. We start off, and it really depends. Sometimes we start if there's something. I show them two videos. There's a how to manage classroom behavior. It's from 1947, and then I show them something from 2020, and that's a springboard for discussion. And that discussion goes all over the place with classroom management. So it's, even if you watch that and you said, oh, I've got everything, the following semester could be totally different. So for me, it's not a big thing. And even if with the who gets hired assignment for the school administration class, each group could have totally different insights than the group before. So if it is something that really is dependent on, I don't want anybody else to see it, then yeah, sure, I'll lock it out. But that doesn't mean that, hey, I'm going to download all my videos and I'll give them to you because you're taking the class next semester anyway. If someone wants it bad enough, they're going to get it, whether I lock it down or not. So I'm not, I just kind of make the way I design it is so that it's nothing that's, that it's super secure, that, has to be kept on a lock and key.
So up to this point in Blackboard, we actually lock our students out after a certain point from a course shell. So there's kind of a time. Then we're not locking them out anymore?
No, it's only highly Delta courses that are closed.
Okay, because we used to, before we used to lock out. It was only like a 6-month type of time span on the course shell being available to students.
I don't know if that's was actually put in place, if I didn't undo that, but I never heard it being.
Yeah, in other classes I've taken in other institutions, there's a time limit. Yeah, you can't.
On the calendar.
Yeah, they're using the calendar function within there, so you can say the class is only available from the start of the term to maybe a week after the term expires. But there might be reasons you don't, short of deleting everybody's access to this, we might want to not let people go back X amount of time afterwards to pull up something. I was just thinking of it as a control feature. But you could drop them, their authority to something. Okay.
All right, thank you very, very much,
Yes.
Al. We really appreciate you showing us Google Hangouts and hanging out on air. It was Hangouts, right? And I'll keep you posted on Zoom updates.
Okay. And Lorraine, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Albert. It was great.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to try it, and I'll, let you know what happens.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Have a great day, everybody.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rob. Take care, everybody.